Good evening, everyone. And now we're back with more PowerWash Simulator. We finished cleaning the shed the last time, so this time we're just going to clean everything else. There's no 30-minute cutoff in this one. We're going to go until we actually get the entire place clean. Yeah, the best way to play this game is to actually pop a podcast or something in on some headphones and listen to that while you're going around and cleaning stuff off. This is actually not a terrible way to give your hands something to do while your mind focuses elsewhere. And it can be decently relaxing. Like, I don't hate it. I actually kind of enjoy everything up until the point where you're getting so close to finishing a section that you can't quite get that ding sound to go off. But, see, like, what are the odds that I would have just normally noticed all that shit on the backside of those steps? Pretty low. But here we are. I think we're going to dive into the pond, try to get it cleared out. Because it kind of reminds me of what it was like to have pet turtles. At least that's what the scum that's on everything looks like is. The stuff that could build up in just a matter of days inside their tank. Which is one of the reasons why I don't really understand what was supposed to have been happening on this property. Like, how the hell does this much grime build up on stuff? Now, granted, this would not be a very entertaining game if you went somewhere and it was mostly clean looking, and all they really wanted you to do was soap it down and make it shiny. Like, it's a lot easier if there's clear grime on everything. But it makes it look like they have just finished cremating about 50 people and then just smash the ashes into every part of this property. But here we go. Let's just peacefully clean for a little while. And I'll let you hear some of the peaceful background sound. Or I'll talk for a couple seconds to fill in the absolute dead silence of me just randomly pausing. Alright. Now, I'll give you a few minutes of just quiet sound in case you're trying to use this to go to sleep to. Because to be honest, I really don't have a hell of a lot to say about this. Who am I kidding? I always have something to say. If for no other reason than the fact that I have learned to talk into the void as part of being a teacher. Yes, a lot of the time, just end out in a room with people that really don't want to be in there with you. That no matter how fun you find the subject, they're just not interested. So, for the 3 or 4 people that actually are, you figure out ways to just keep talking about fun things. Of course, normally with teaching, I'm actually talking about a subject that I enjoy talking about. And then you get the pleasure of trying to figure out ways to come up with what people don't understand and figuring out how to make them actually listen to you while you explain what they don't understand. It can feel like pulling teeth at times, especially since people don't tend to want to ask questions anymore. I'll tell you now, if you want to make life 1,000 times easier on yourself, especially for classes, if you're really not understanding what's going on, just ask questions. There's an extremely low chance that you're the only person that doesn't understand what's going on. I mean, if you're in a class of 10 people, maybe you would be the only person in the room that has the particular question that you have. But it might just be because someone else is so confused that they can't even think about how to formulate the question that you have. If you are confused, ask a question. my most successful students aren't necessarily the most naturally intelligent students. They're the people that are willing to ask questions when they're confused, so they don't stay confused. It's one of the reasons why I keep spamming the button that highlights dirt. That way I can try to get it to show me where the things that I need to finish off are. So, yeah, no, I was mostly joking about people just staring off into the void. Realistically, if you look around, your whole class is kind of zoned out. You pause and reassess what you're doing, unless just something you're doing just for fun. Like, if I'm doing a lecture on something just for fun, which we do occasionally, every now and then you work in something that you just want to talk about because you think it's interesting to talk about. Those instances, as long as you've got a couple people paying attention, it really doesn't matter if everyone else zones out, as long as you're not going to be heavily grading them on it. But those are pretty rare. Like, you get a couple of those a year at most. If you're looking around and everyone seems to have been lost, either you've been going on too long, or you've been so obtuse in what you were talking about that you pretty much need to restart. Easy way to do that is just pause for a second, put up an example, give people time to work it out, and when no one gets it right, use that as an excuse to back up and try to teach it a completely different way. But it's neither here nor there. This isn't necessarily a teaching tips channel. Just, honestly, there's not a lot to say in a video about cleaning. So instead, I'm trying to see if God, there's so much left. Instead, I'm just trying to come up with ways to talk for a minute to help you lull your way off to sleep. Might have to see if I can figure out a way to get my Switch hooked up so I can record off of it and do a run through of Inferno. That's a really fun game. Or buy it on Steam. Just play it on my PC and record it through OBS. Might be able to grab it on the PlayStation and play it on there. I don't know. Either way, fun game. Highly recommend. Lots of playthrough potential and replay potential. But also a lot of things that you could talk about as you're doing stuff. I'm starting to realize how much easier it is to do Monster Hunter than it is to do stuff like this. Just because there's always something going on. If I run out of things to talk about just for fun talking about it, monster hunts are normally entertaining enough to watch. I don't have a huge amount of things to talk about other than the monster hunts. Then I can actually talk about, number one, I'm very familiar with the series, so it's really easy to pick out things and chat about. Right now I'm just trying to fill in dead space, which I guess actually, if you're interested in watching PowerWash Simulator, you might appreciate having a couple minutes of quiet time. So, I guess I'll just shut the hell up for a little bit and chime back in whenever I actually start getting some of these sections finished. Like the pond liner is almost done. There's much more I actually need to hit to get it cleaned off. Oh, well, there's some success. That seems like there shouldn't be a lot left for the pond wall, but I guess depends on what all it counts as pond wall. And how fast it's going to go down. I think a strategy point where I'm messing up on is trying to get too many of the fine details done. I think realistically I'd be better off just going through and cleaning the really broad, obvious stuff up, and then using the little fine details to get to the point where it actually just goes ahead and auto-completes whatever section I'm at. Like, I spent way too much time down in that pit. There was no real reason to stay down in there as long as I did. But I guess you live and you learn. Oh, that's nice. It's finished now. So, we'll slowly keep working our way through the rest of this stuff, but really don't think anyone's interested in hearing me talk strategy, so let's figure out some random topics to talk about. pull up Steam, what would be another game to play that would be fun to play instead of this particular one? I don't mind it. If there's a demand to keep putting these videos up, then sure, I may go back to starting to produce it. But let's see, the last one got 4 views over the course of almost a week now. I don't suspect this one's going to get a huge amount more, but whatever. We'll see. So, I've got quite a few freebies and a handful of things that I actually paid for on Steam that I know I can actually run. So, what would be some fun stuff to try? 20XX, doing a few runs in it might be kind of fun. I always enjoyed Mega Man, but 20XX, the little bit that I've played of it, it seems like it would take a little bit of work to actually get things rolling in a way where you can actually make some progress. But of course, it's sort of a Mega Man roguelike. So, yeah, whatever. Binding of Isaac. Now, the problem is, on the PC, I only really have it up to Rebirth. And that leaves quite a bit more DLC needed to actually get it up to date. Although I do have it on the PlayStation, don't I? I think I also have it on the Switch. It's an enjoyable game. I'm trying to remember which one I actually have it closest to being completely up to date. Whatever. If necessary, I really wouldn't mind dropping a little bit of money to get Binding of Isaac up to date. Just because it'd only be about $11 to actually get it completed for me. Yeah, Cuphead. It's been a long time since I played it. It's also been a decent little bit since it was relevant, but it's a fun game. Don't really have to do any challenges in it to actually make it hard. Oh, there's Dauntless. That just makes me sad. I actually paid for a founder's package for Dauntless way back when it was first announced, like pre-world being announced. It looked like it was going to be something fun that would not have the complexity of Monster Hunter. Like, let's be completely clear about that. There was no point in the recording process, or not recording process, shit. The production process for Dauntless that I ever suspected it would be a true rival to Monster Hunter. But it looked like it could be a fun game to play in between releases when you've burned through all the content in Monster Hunter. Like, I've still got plenty to do in this version of Monster Hunter, but part of that is because of the fact that I'm recording videos, so I'm making myself do more than what I normally do in a Monster Hunter game. But Dauntless, and it really was, for a little while, just something fun to do when you would burn through everything you could do in Monster Hunter. Even in the vanilla version. Like, the problem with the vanilla version was it really didn't have a huge end game. It suffered very heavily from meta builds. Like, there was a wide variety of armor, and there's a wide variety of weapons, but there was one specific one for each category that was the best. And once you got that stuff, you were done. Now, since they had decided to go with a free-to-play model in the long run, that doesn't work very well for a game like that, so they had to find something to get people to start coming in. Then they did the Reforged update. A lot of people got upset about that, but at the end of the day, I think Reforged was actually well done, especially compared to what come later, hint hint. But it did give a perpetual in-game system. It took a little bit of tweaking, some updating, some payback, like giving people rewards backwards in order to actually kind of get them up to speed, to feel like they didn't lose anything from the transition. I didn't feel like I lost anything. I felt like it started out pretty well. And I actually ended up pumping more time into Reforged than I pumped into Dauntless at any other point in its lifespan. To the point where I bought a couple season passes, more than what I had done in the vanilla game. One of the problems for me started showing when their season passes, they tweaked experience on them to get it to where it would take you almost the full season to actually cap out the season pass. Now granted, they eventually made it to where when you purchased a season pass, you kept it permanently. So you could actually work your way through the whole tier. See, I'm saying season pass, but that's not the correct term for this. Battle pass. Okay, yeah, that's the correct term. Sorry, I'm getting on the older side for a gamer. But there was a battle pass. It was fun. But like I said, they'll slip towards some kind of predatory things, and then they would backtrack because, for a long time at least, the developers in Dauntless for Phoenix Labs actually seemed like they really cared about what their player base thought, and they wanted to stay on the positive side of things. They wanted to try to make a live service game that wasn't considered predatory. Like, back in the beta, and a lot of people don't realize this, they were originally, like, they have loot boxes in the game. But they're not like in other games. Like, the loot boxes in Dauntless had cells in them, which were basically gems in Monster Hunter or any other game. And in the beta, those loot boxes actually also had monster pieces, at least for a little while. Maybe alpha. I can't really remember what it was technically labeled as at that point. But they got a lot of negative feedback over that because it felt weird that the most important pieces for your armor came from a loot box rather than coming from the monster. Like, you didn't even necessarily have to fight the monster that the associated piece of loot came from to get the loot box. You just get the loot box and randomly get rare pieces of monster parts. So they just stopped that completely. They had it to where sales came out of them. I can't even remember the earlier iterations, but let me put it this way. Eventually it got to the point where you were getting way more of them than you would ever need, and you would get way more out of them than you would ever need. Like, to the point where you would have just immense amounts of sales built up in backstock. So, again, they tweaked things to be consumer friendly. They then started having rumors pop up about, you know, working on patches and whatnot, and that there was another relaunch in the works. Now, granted, there's a big gap in time between the Reforged update and then the Awakening update as to what it would eventually be called. The problem is, when Awakening actually popped up, what it more or less felt like was Reforged, where they kind of reset your progress, but they stripped almost all the weapons away. They locked them behind what was functionally a premium currency, which, you know, if you'd been playing for a while, you would have enough by default to buy a couple of the weapons, but I don't remember anyone actually saying that they had enough, even like people with capped accounts, to buy every weapon that was available. You can get most of them, but there was always going to be at least a couple that you couldn't. The weapons were mimicking what they called their legendary weapons, where every weapon had a unique ability on it at that point. But the ones that were actually on the pass, the only way to get the battle pass, or get the weapon on the battle pass for that particular season, was to actually get the battle pass. It just, well, to throw in some background, the company had traded hands at that point to some crypto bros, and there's some really complex goings on behind the scenes on that one, but this update really seemed like all it did was strip stuff away from you to sell it back to you. Like, the gameplay was not really any different. The game progression systems were not really any different. They had just stripped a bunch of shit away from everyone that they had already earned or paid for, and made you find some way to earn it back. And so basically everyone abandoned the game. And did so angrily. There were a couple people, of course, that were fine with it. Most of those were relatively new people that hadn't really pumped a whole bunch of time into the game. So maybe, just maybe, if they had kept advertising it, they could have built up a new audience. Problem is, everyone that was already interested in hunting games and had a PC had tried it. So they pretty much already had the entire audience that they were going to have. The number of people that weren't just happy perpetually playing Monster Hunter, that were also flipping over to Dauntless. Because realistically, it was the best competitor to Monster Hunter. Doesn't mean it was really in the same tier as Monster Hunter. Let's just be clear on that. But it was probably the best competitor to Monster Hunter. And yes, I've played Tokaiden. they're not bad games, but you can very much tell they were made by the same people that make Dynasty Warriors. And what I mean by that is they really don't take any thought. If you think Monster Hunter is hard, you're probably not going to think Tokaiden's hard. I'm sorry, the hardcore Tokaiden people, but I haven't ever had any challenge killing anything in that game. It's very forgiving with your feints. It's very forgiving with the healing. You don't really have to know what you're doing for any weapon. You can just kind of spam buttons and you'll be okay. It's cool. The monsters are really cool. I mean, they're technically demons in that one, but it's an interesting premise. It definitely kept my attention for a while, but it's just not. It's not it. Dauntless was pretty close. Oh, by the way, that last update, they also stripped away the ability to forge weapons. Yeah, a hunting game where hunting monsters was pretty much useless. So, let's just scroll on past Dauntless. I know that was a good tangent, but whatever. Destiny 2, I'm not going to dive into it. I've heard it's okay at this point, but every time I try it, good God, 143 gigs required. Nah, I'm not purging enough stuff off my computer to install that. If I'm going to play a large game, it would be either Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, which I'd be more than happy to get both of those back for a month or something to do some things if there's a demand for it, but I feel like that market is pretty saturated as well. Also, it takes so long to do anything in an MMO. I don't really want to be recording footage for an MMO. Dungeon Siege 3, I have that in my library, must have gotten it for free at some point. Have no idea what it is. Might be fun to try it out. Field of Glory 2, same thing. Probably got it for free at some point. Final Fantasy 8, my favorite Final Fantasy. I'd be more than happy to do a playthrough on it. I could even actually try some of the basically cheats that are baked into it just to do a nostalgia trip and run back through the game. Goetia, I don't remember what that is. It looks like a point and click. Might be fun. Might be so confusing that I would have no idea what to do. That's on the list of possibilities. Grim Dawn, really fun. Wouldn't mind reinstalling it and playing it again a little bit. Hitman, don't care about not doing it. Just got those for free from something that I bought from Square Enix at some point. Jotun, only played a little bit of it. Wouldn't mind playing it. It's actually fun. I bought it when I was trying to find something that was supposedly comparable to Hades. Not playing Tomb Raider stuff. Last Remnant, oh man, that was a good game. How did I get this? Whatever, I'd be down to play that. It's been a long time since I played it. Of course, I got Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Both of those would be super fun to play through, especially since, are they getting remasters? Anyway. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, never played through it. Probably wouldn't be that bad. 13 was disappointing overall. Magic Archery, I've actually got it installed. It's a incremental progress game that used to be browser-based. That'd probably be pretty fun, although probably would have less to talk about than I do about PowerWash Simulator here. Oh yeah, the table here. Well, we're getting closer to being finished though. Only about another 20 minutes of work left. Maple Story, never played it. Got it set up here to where I could install it. If there's a demand for it, I might do it. Not playing Marvel Rivals. Metro Last Light Complete Edition. It might be pretty fun. Not a big fan of playing scary games pretty much anymore. Watching movies, reading books, sure. Games can scare me in a way that movies and books never could. So scary games, super fun if that's what you want. It's not what I want. World I've got on PS1. Mortal Kombat 1. Nah. Murdered Soul Suspect. That might be interesting. Never played it. Pal World, of course. That's actually pretty fun. Got both Path of Exile 1 and 2. Wouldn't really be opposed to doing a playthrough on them. Matter of fact, I actually haven't booted up Path of Exile since it went into Is it launch ready yet, or is that later on this year? I have to look into it. Well, I haven't even looked to see if they've actually released any new classes. It's been a bit, been quite a bit since I played it. It is really fun though. Quake Champions was actually fun. I don't even know if it's still running. Rust, not gonna touch that. That's my brother-in-law. He enjoyed it. Got Satisfactory installed. It's fun, but other than telling you what I'm doing, I mean, it might be fun to watch. I've watched it to go to sleep. Sekiro. Yeah. You want to watch me suffer? I can install Sekiro. I love it, to be clear. It's a cool game. To me, it is by far the hardest of all of the Souls series games. It's just, the combat is difficult. I'm not good at parrying. And if you're not good at parrying, Sekiro is pretty much going to kick your ass. And it did me. Terraria, I haven't booted it up since they've added in a whole bunch of patches. There's a lot of different bosses in it that I've just never touched. Not touching Tomb Raider. Torchlight 2 probably would be a fun game. And is that all in here? That's, well, there's Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. But all things considered, I think we'll leave Witcher sort of sitting on the back burner for now. Oh, the property's looking pretty clean at this point. Let's go work on the swing over here. And finish off this little guy in the corner. And that should get us to the point where almost wrapped up. If anything I mentioned sounded interesting, just feel free to throw a comment down. Much as people hate the Epic Store, the reality is I've got a boatload of freebies off of it as well. So let's boot it up and take a look at what all's on there and see if there's anything that actually would be fun to test out at the very least. Man, those little thin things like the chains are a bit of a pain in the ass. That's not what actually ends up getting me on this thing. That's not what ends up getting me on the swing here. Not the chain. You'll see. Man, I wish I could spray stuff with my pressure washer like that and have it clean up that nicely without having to repeatedly wring it out and spray it again and wring it out and spray it again. Although that does remind me of the videos of people cleaning off their like those carpets. I don't know what it is about those videos that's satisfying. They are very satisfying. Alright, so Epic Game Store is really irritating, but got the list pulled up now of the library. So let's just look and see if there's anything that looks interesting. One operator. Alan Wake, maybe. Arkham Asylum Game of the Year edition. To be honest, and it's probably going to sound like heresy, did not find those games all that interesting. They're cool storylines, cool spectacle for the boss fights. Oh god, a little bit of that. It's not that much of a challenge, and really didn't take much thought to do. You go to some areas, you do some brawling, then you spam your inspector vision and click the object. I don't know, I love Batman, but I just, the handful of people that didn't like the Arkham games. Whatever. Bloons TD6 is fun, but I'll play it on my phone. That's the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. That would probably be entertaining. To me, it's really all that matters. Death Stranding. Interesting, but not really to play. Death Stranding is definitely a game that was fun to watch, not very fun to play, and I'll just be honest here, like, I'm not all that interested in playing through things that are purely for streaming's sake. Well, not even streaming, just for videos. If I were streaming, maybe. And Dying Light, I could throw that back on just for the fun of it. Enter the Gungeon. Look, I'll just be honest here. Isaac beats me sometimes. Enter the Gungeon beats me most of the time. Grime, that would be fun to try. Only played a little bit of it. Looks fun. For Polo or... Oh, what was it that I watched? I think it was for Polo. Pause everything for just a second and look up a YouTube channel that I forgot the name. There we go. The Backlogs. If you enjoy challenge runs and you enjoy Souls-likes, you should go watch his channel. I believe his channel makes Grime look more interesting to me than what it probably actually would be for me to play through. Because he is fantastic at these games, and he's also super entertaining. Highly recommend. Bunch of Lego games. Any of them would be fun. Don't underestimate the Lego games. They're actually quite entertaining. I've got Limbo. Limbo is one of those games that if you have played it, then you understand that part of the fun of it is playing it, actually seeing the stuff revealed on it. Not that it makes a bad game to make videos on. It's just, it's one that you have to kind of be comfortable spoiling the fun of it to show it. There's Cube, which would be a fun puzzle game if it's looking for puzzles. It's close to the end, but not really. Remember, until that list pops up, you're not actually close. Or at least not as close as you think you are. And staying up on this edge is a pain in the ass. Because I forgot that there was a step stool. I won't forget the step stool next time I do anything on this. Although I don't know when that'll be. Got a ton of games on there, but a lot of them just don't even seem slightly appealing to test out. So, guess that's why they were free. I'll browse through the PlayStation library another time because there's games on it that I just don't have installed right now, but would also be fun to play. I don't know. If anyone has any suggestions, I am very much open to that right now. Like, I'm not set on making this about anything in particular. Sunday videos are meant to be, well, I guess this one will probably end up being posted late Saturday night, but the Saturday/Sunday videos are just meant to be anything that's not Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is going to occupy the main slots, but that's largely because I enjoy it. It's not because it's the thing that pulls in the most views. It does, but that's a good chunk because of the fact that it is the most content that I've put out. By the way, at this point, I'm just asking myself, where the hell is there dirt left? Because it says 99%, and I didn't notice it flickered. See? Like, flickers when you've still got a little bit left to do. At least, sometimes it does. You can notice the little bars. But took me a moment to realize that in terms of hints as to where stuff could be to clean. I'm trying to manually look around, which doesn't work very well. I'm forgetting about the powerful little button, or at least it seems that way. The truth is, I'm actually hitting it quite a bit. It's just the little bit of grime left is so tiny that I'm like, okay, is there something that maybe my wife, or she's the one that started this before I started recording it, didn't completely clean something? And look, there you go. Wouldn't you know it? There's something that she started on and didn't fully finish, but unfortunately, it's just one thing like that. Really don't think she left a whole lot. I'm pretty sure almost everything that's not clean at this point is purely my fault. Not like it's her fault anyway. She had no idea that I'd be coming in behind her, pick it up and clean it. Although she did suggest the game. Who knows? She could have set some traps for me. But get to looking, and I notice there's still some stuff on the lawnmower. And this is where it really clicks that the lawnmower is split up into multiple parts for some confounding reason. Yeah, see? There's a little bit of dirt up, and that's done. Every little click is one more closer to actually getting that final little list of things to do. What's next? What do we have? I'm just hoping that maybe there's a little bit left on the roof. Because at this point, I can't remember whether it clicked up as clean or not. So, just checking it over to see. See, this is what I meant by this game can get really maddening. Now, after doing this, I'm aware that you have to actually stick with whatever the thing is that you're currently trying to clean until you get it completely done. And I mean completely done. Like, you have to check every section of it to be sure that you're not just missing out on parts and pieces. Double checking the birdhouse here to see if there's anything on it I missed. I noticed a little bit, but the thing is, how do you get in there to it? Or is that even mess? Is that just shadows? You know, I could probably figure that out by pressing the little button to see if it'd flash. Instead, I just tried to spray it a few times. And then I noticed food shelf thing. Huh. That looks pretty clean. And then you duck down. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's completely filthy on the underside. There's one more. I guess since I did that one, let's check this one. And it's still missing some stuff, so let's... Oh, wait. We need to step over just a little bit more and get that little bit in the corner. There we go. Well, still not giving us a list of things to finish cleaning. But I am now looking for white health bars. So, okay, let's look at the different parts. And it occurs to me now that the little orange bar is telling me what type of cleaner to use. Up. Right there. Which cushion is it? Let's maybe go around to the other side and try spraying it from the back and see what happens. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the point where I was considering just calling it quits, deleting the video, and never playing this game again. Then that happened, and it gave me the list. And the only one of those that made me think, what the fuck, was fence posts. But then I kind of realized, well, there's only one fence that really could be. So let's go finish this doghouse roof. Get that knocked out of the way. really 100% certain where there it is. I just know if I sprayed it long enough, I would eventually get it. And over here, parasol. Apparently, I just didn't get the pole part of it cleaned well enough. Even though I got all the rest of the things over here cleaned up. So, yeah, we got cardinal directions, a little bit of grime right there, and it's done. Now, fence posts. Easiest way to do that is just scan them, see which ones show up. I'm assuming that it's over here because those are the ones that I didn't do. And I would be wrong, because I'm sure you saw it flash up just now. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Remember, if I can beat it, so can you. And please make some suggestions for stuff that you'd like to see played down in the comments. Anyway, have a good night.